Okay, these are matter notes number 3. These are due on Thursday, September 5th. Okay, today we're going to be talking about classifying matter. So we're going to put matter into different categories. So we are going to have matter can be divided up into a pure substance or a mixture. And a pure substance will either categorize into the individual elements or they are combined into compounds. Mixtures can either be a homogeneous mixture or a heterogeneous mixture. And we'll talk about each one of these. A pure substance is one material only. So it has a consistent composition throughout. So it's uniform throughout. It's all the same material. An element, on the other hand, so this is, again, one of the pure substances, is the simplest form of matter. So this is what you find on the periodic table. They're made up of atoms with the same number of protons, and they cannot be broken down into any simpler form of matter. And they combine together to form compounds. They combine together in whole ratios to form compounds. And the representative particle is the atom. So elements, we're going to further categorize those into either a diatomic, a polyatomic, or a monatomic element. And it's helpful to write down this this division, this picture that you see here, so that you can kind of get a better visual of how it all is going to combine together. Okay, so a monatomic element, these are atoms that can exist all by themselves in nature. So most of the elements on the periodic table can exist as a monatomic. So this means that an individual, let's say iron, which is Fe, can exist all by itself, just as an individual atom floating around all by itself. Diatomic elements are elements that cannot float around all by themselves. They cannot exist by themselves. They like to have a partner. They like to be paired up. So these are all of the diatomic elements. And these are just floating around in pairs. So we've got hydrogen. So this 2, and it should be H with a subscript 2. Oxygen with a subscript 2, fluorine with a subscript 2, and so on. So those should all be subscripts. So anyways, they exist as pairs. So this means that one hydrogen atom is paired up with a second hydrogen atom, and they're floating around in the air. So it's hydrogen, oxygen, fluorine, bromine, iodine, nitrogen, and chlorine. To remember these, and it's going to be important to remember these, we're going to be using these throughout the year, we refer to it as Hofbrinkel. So hydrogen, oxygen, fluorine, bromine, iodine, nitrogen, and chlorine. Hofbrinkel. And these are all the diatomic elements. So here is a picture kind of showing monatomic versus diatomic elements. So here are the monatomics. Individual little atoms floating around or existing in nature just by themselves. Diatomics, they like to be partnered up. They have to have a friend with them, a buddy with them. And they pair up with the ones that are similar to themselves. So a hydrogen is going to pair up with another hydrogen. Chlorine pairs up with another chlorine. A polyatomic element exists in nature as 3 or more atoms of the same element bonded together. Okay, so phosphorus bonded with other phosphorus, carbon, and so on. So atoms will combine to make compounds. Okay, so here you have your diatomic hydrogen, you have your diatomic oxygen. So these are just 2 diatomics floating around, but they combine to form a compound. In this case, it's H2O. And this is true of, and you can combine monatomics with diatomics to form compounds. So basically, it's any 2 molecules of different elements combined together to form a compound. So our compound in this case is the H2O. So a compound is one material made of 2 or more elements. The compound can be separated by chemical means. So in order to separate So in order to separate H2O, it would have to go through a chemical reaction. So you can't cut this, you can't grind it, and to separate that oxygen away from that hydrogen, it would have to undergo a chemical reaction to do that. A mixture, on the other hand, is made up of two or more substances that are not chemically combined. So they are just mixed together. In order to separate a mixture, you can use different techniques such as filtering, crystallization, so you're forming a solid, so you're causing something to crystallize, or you're going to distill or evaporate something. So if you have two substances that have different boiling points, you boil one of them, and that one evaporates off, and what is left is the other one that did not boil. So that is distillation.